Hi Tarot Tribe, it's Ethany and I am here with my very late, almost at the cutoff, video response to Arwen's Tarot Tag 15. So I've had, as many of you know, my son was not well this week, and it's just one of those weeks where we had a lot of Hanged Man surrendering energy, but he's feeling better and with Dad, so I've got some time. So let's do this thing. And thank you so much, lovely Arwen, for the shout out in your description. I really appreciate it in your video. You're so sweet. Okay, so let's do this. Question, for those of you who do not know what this tag is, I will put the original link for the video that Arwen created below. And then you can also see, when you click on her video, all the other videos from our amazing community who have responded to the originals. It's pretty rad-tastic. Okay, so the first question is, what is your current favorite deck? Now, this was not a hard one for me. I've just come off of pretty much a full day of reading for clients, and I just had a tarot lesson online with a bunch of amazing people, and I have been using, where's the cover of this thing? Look at that, underbooks. It is the Liminal Tarot. This is by Penelope Klein. I have, I actually have, I'm greedy, I have 2 copies of this deck, and there's a really good reason why I have 2 copies of this deck. It is an extremely limited edition. Her decks are only ever done in 200 runs, and I love this deck, and I've loved this deck ever since I got my first copy of it. But I was really afraid to use it because it's a collector's piece. There's only 200 of them. You know, what are you going to do if you scuff one of these cards? I should actually show you some photos. So I was like, oh no, I don't want to ruin this deck. My camera is not going to be able to show you the amazing moon just because of the glare. And it's not that these cards are actually very glossy, it's just that it's getting late in the day and there's glare. It's so beautiful. It's a bigger deck, I quite like. I don't have massive hands, but I love seeing the artwork. I know that the lovely Katie Flowers really loves this deck, and for good reason. So you're not seeing a lot of the colour in this. This is really beautifully detailed, and I have just been using this. So getting back to the story, so I was really worried about ruining this, so I bought another copy before they went out of print, so that I could use one for client readings, because I really connect with it so well without feeling like, oh crap, what am I going to do if I lose a card, or I'm pretty rough shuffler, so what if I damage one? So I bought 2 copies, and I've been using this daily for a while now, so that is definitely currently my favorite deck, although I also have decks in rotation. So today I use the Serco Tarot a lot, as well as the Liminal Tarot. I use the Sacred Creators Oracle, I use the Awakened Soul Oracle deck, I use the Druidcraft Tarot. So when I do readings for clients, there's usually an amalgamation of Tarot Amazing and Oracle Amazingness happening, so it's never just one. Okay, and then the second question is, what tarot card do you think stands for who you are now? Funnily enough, this card came up in a reading that someone in our community did for me at the Northwest Tarot Symposium, which is the Queen of Cups. This is the Queen of Cups from the Liminal Tarot. And again, you're not going to be able to see this beautiful freaking colouring. And I have been sitting with that going, yeah, I really, and okay, another side note, I see the tarot card in a different way to some people, where I see them through my archetypes. So yeah, I totally get what she is to me, that intuitive, emotional, intuitive, empathic woman. So yeah, I really feel like the Queen of Cups is very much for who I am now. And this affected who I chose for my third one, which is, what tarot card do you think stands for who you want to be? And I chose the King of Cups because I see the tarot court as not their gender, as I see them on the more fluid. I see them as, I think it's a title, not a gender. That's how I view it. And the reason why I've chosen that is because I see this as a progression from the Queen nurturing and being in touch with her emotions, but coming from this power of the element of cups, and emotional understanding and emotional maturity, to the King, who comes to this leading from that place and having a real mastery of it. So, and and really I could have gone through every aspect of my life and picked a different card and overthought it, like, do I want this to be about one thing or another? But the Queen of Cups came in really clearly for me for that. So I just went with what came to me the first. So now the next one is, draw a card and tell us how it answers the question. Ooh. What does the universe want you to know right now? So I got a few decks out. So I'm using the Fae Tarot, which I'm going to talk a little bit about in another tag. Well, in this tag, but in another question. Okay, what does the universe want me, you, us, me, I guess me, to know right now, or you to know right now? The Two of Pentacles. This is actually really funny because I had fucking Two of Pentacles, man. It stalks me like a mofo. I have been getting the guilt. So for anyone who knows, has been watching me for a while, or Jamie Elford, you'll be like, yeah, girl. I am I'm a gamer, and Mass Effect Andromeda came out on the 21st of March. I'm a huge Mass Effect fan, massive Mass Effect fan, and I have been feeling so guilty about playing my game. I mean, I have been working, and it's not like I've ditched everything and I've got 50 hours racked up on the thing. I certainly do not. But I have this, like, I need to be working all the time, or taking care of my son, or sleeping. And so this has been a really interesting, like, work-life balance, which is one of the meanings of the Two of Pentacles. So maybe I can drop a little bit of guilt around that. So I love that. And I really I love this deck so much. You can't see very well, but there's another fairy kind of like touching, balancing, instead of the pentacles being what's being balanced in this card, it's the fairy who's balancing with one hand on top of the pentacle. So I love that in there as well, that we can choose what we balance on, and we can choose what we spend our energy on. Oh, that's quite nice. So maybe we can all drop a little bit of the guilt for doing things we should be doing, and allowing ourselves to enjoy life a little bit. Question 5. Do you have any cards in the deck that you must love in order to work with a tarot deck? No, but I have to admit that there are cards in decks that have ruined decks for me. Or that I've gone, dang, like, why did you, oh, no. But I find that they tend to shift. Like, it's not always just one particular one. I like that there are different artistic representations in decks, and different, the way we see the different archetypes and we see the different energies. Some people say it's like their significator card. For me is very much the Queen of Swords, and she can be like the nastiest looking piece of work in a lot of decks. I do really like to look at how the High Priestess is shown. I do look for the Queen of Swords. I like to see how the Nine of Pentacles is shown, because that's one of my favourite cards. And I also like to see how the Lovers, which is also a Gemini card, because I'm a Gemini, Queen of Swords, being the swords, being the air, being Gemini. Even though the Gemini and the tarot court is the Knight of Swords, sorry. But no, there's nothing that really ruined. Like I need to look at it. I certainly like to see how certain cards are shown and depicted, but there's nothing that would be like I'd go through and be like, oh, they did that wrong. But I have got decks that I've gone, oh man, like that card feels really off to me on that energy. But that's the beauty of art, right? It's subjective, and we're all going to have different opinions and thoughts on things like that. Okay, so number 6, why tarot and not some other divination system? Well, I do use other divination systems, but not as much as tarot. I love cards. Like I love shuffling them. I like the way that I feel like shuffling a deck of cards is meditative, almost like I can zone out. I'm a visual learner, and I'm a visual person, so I love art. I love visual stimuli, especially when it's very pretty. I'm clairvoyant, so the fact that I can get a clear reaction to a card just from the symbols or the things that I see is very important. So I just think a lot of those things just really married up for me. And I have this kind of weird thing, and I don't even know how to kind of explain this. But I like I like collecting. I'm a collector. I'm a tarot deck collector, as many of us are in the community. But I like that in the deck, it's not like you're just collecting one thing, if that makes sense. Like there are 78 cards in a deck, yo! Like I love the fact that it's like there is more than one card. You get 78 pieces of artwork in a deck. There are 78 ways that you can look at a problem or a situation in just this deck. I love that it's for me, I've said it many times, I feel like it is a reflection of our life experiences on many levels through our cultural archetypes, our spiritual archetypes, our daily archetypes, our interpersonal relationships with ourselves and other people. I love that. Like for me, it's just like this fucking juicy, deep, amazing spiritual tool that is so well rounded that I don't feel like it needs any other complementary practice, even though I do complementary practices, and that's more just for if I'm feeling it. But I feel like this is it's a beautiful whole system on its own, and that's why, on top of it being a visual thing, I think tarot will always be my total love when it comes to working with a development tool and a divinatory tool. Number 7, what is the first book you can remember reading about the tarot other than the Little White Book? Now, for me, I went through this thing, and I'm sure a lot of people did, and it was the same thing when I found Wicca and and witchcraft. I just read like everything I could get my hands on. It was the same thing with tarot. I read everything I could get my hands on. This book is quite The 78 Degrees of Wisdom by Rachel Pollack, a book that I'm sure many of you have read. This has been in my collection for many, many years. But I also wanted to give a huge shout out to this. It's not a little white book. It is actually the US Game Systems companion book by Kay Stevens to the Spiral Tarot. And if you've watched my tarot tags for the 2016, my 31 Days of Tarot, I've talked about this deck before, how it was one that I really connected with like no other. When finally taking my tarot journey from something that I was kind of just dabbling in and doing it for myself, and going, no, I'm going to take a dedicated course and have a dedicated teacher and really learn the cards. This book is so good. The symbols in this deck are amazing. I used to sneak this book into work and highlight passages while I was working. And I just, I love it. I think for me, what gave me, this was such an impactful book for me. It may not have been my first, but for whatever reason, it got me to see the tarot like nothing else did. I just love it. I think this is such a great book. I actually, when I pulled it off my bookshelf, I was like, oh man, I want to read this again. I'm like, it's got such an old freaking, like, I even remember what office, who I was working with. This is a marketing company's post-it note. Like, I remember everything. Like, it takes me back to that time where I was like, it finally opened up and clicked for me. So this has a huge impact on me, and it's not the Little White Book. So that was definitely a book, something that I will always resonate with me. And the wonderful 78 Degrees of Wisdom Tarot book by Rachel Pollock. Tell me about one YouTube channel that you watch and why. Just one? Ay, oh my god. How do I even answer that question? There's so many, I'm subscribed to so many of you amazing people. Maybe let's talk about one that, hang on, I want to come back to that one. Let's talk about one that maybe that I haven't mentioned before. How about we do that? I'm going to do that. I'm going to find one from my subscription while I'm talking about the other tags, because there are a lot of amazing people, on YouTube that I love, like Katie and like Avalon and Vix and Wild Moon Woman and Arwen and Kelly and Maddox, and oh my god, it's just like there's so many of you amazing. Joanna DeVoe, Kelly Bear. Like, these are all people that that I have in my subscription thing that I'm looking at right now. I do not know how to answer the question. Did I just like totally bitch out of that? Yeah, I probably did. Like Owl Moon 513, Racine, Phoenix and Lotus. Oh my gosh, there's so many people. So I can't do it. I watch a lot. You guys are like my in the morning. When I wake up and I watch my tarot news. I used to read a lot of blogs, and now I watch a lot of YouTube channels. I get my cup of tea in the morning and I check in with everyone, and I just think it's fucking amazing. Maybe I'll maybe give a shout out to a couple of my friends, and then I'm going to shut up and move on. Andrew Barker, what's up? Amber in Wonderland, I love your face. The ride readings. Oh, Carrie Mallon, like, hello. Champion of Coins is great. Cassandra Tarot. All right, I've said enough. I could keep going. There are so many of you. Colfane, like, yeah. There's just too many to answer, so there's that one. And I do it because I love you all. The Truth and Story, like, there's just so many of you amazing people out there. Number 10, how many tarot decks do you own? Next question. A lot. Hundreds of decks. And I use a lot of them. So recently I just shifted all of my decks. So I have these big, this is an IKEA shelf. I'm sure many of you have got one similar in your house. And I have the pull-out baskets. And I just switch them around for spring, because in April I'll be doing a spring tarot and oracle decks. So I do actually switch them out, and I just mentioned like 6 decks that I work with today. So there are some that I never work with. There are some that I work with a lot, but I use a lot of my decks. So a lot of them don't just sit and do nothing. Number 11, do you mix oracles and tarot when you read? Mixing them sometimes. I usually, and I've mentioned this before, but I usually close out my readings with an oracle draw, just to I feel like the tarot, and this was something I learned from Gail, my tarot teacher in Australia. The tarot gives you a lot, and I feel like the oracle at the end is just a really nice way to like wrap up the energy, have a bit of a focus point. It brings me back down as a reader, so I'm not like focusing on all the other cards that I could be going back and going, oh, and there's this, oh, and there's this. It kind of just focuses me down. It focuses my clients down. And it's just a really nice way to close out a reading. So there are other readings, and I've done a couple of videos in my tutorials of how to mix them. And I totally do that. But for the most part, I read them, put the oracle at the end. Have you ever created your own tarot card or deck? I have created my own oracle decks, and I have something in the works about tarot, and that's all I have to say about that. Number 13, do you read for yourself? Yes, but I prefer not to when it comes to stuff that I feel like I cannot be... Oh, by the way, yeah, we're doing the Awakened Soul Tarot as well. I've mentioned that on social media. If I can't be unbiased, if I'm too close to it, or if I'm too confused, I can overthink things quite a lot. Funny that, being a Gemini. So it's nice to get an outside perspective who isn't like, who isn't like as emotionally or energetically as intensely care about what's going on. They can just be like, look, you're being an idiot. Or, they can give, well, no one's actually ever said that to me as a reader, but they can give me a bit more of an outsider's perspective and see the things that I can't. So yes, I will read for myself, but if I feel stuck, then I have a few people I go to, and I'd rather get a reading with them. 14, what are your favourite questions to be asked when you're doing a reading for someone else? I guess I love like my Aura Soma spiritual and soul purpose readings for people who are like, I love getting people out of their own way and giving them permission. So anything that comes from like with their job, which I used to do HR and recruitment, so I'm pretty good at putting those things in, and business-wise, with a degree in business, like being able to do that sort of stuff, that along with the spiritual aspect of the tarot, really, like, I really fucking love that shit. I love, and just helping people getting out of their own way. I don't know if I have any favorite questions. I'm a pretty like straight up to the point kind of person, so I like it when I have a client who's the same way with me. Like, I want to work with someone who's like, I know, not necessarily know what I want, but I at least know that I have a problem. Like, I actually find it harder to read for people who just, and I've worked in fairs, I've worked in shops, I've worked at every event imaginable that is legal, Christmas parties, hens, bachelorettes, wedding showers, baby showers, like I've done everything. And I find it really a struggle when people sit down and go, you say, hey, so, what do you want to know? What are you here for? What did you want to ask the cards? And they just go, I don't know, whatever comes up. And I'm like, oh. Like, and it's not that I'm trying to, and you can, if you feel like that's a cop-out thing for a reader, then okay. But that's not because I feel like I can't get anything from a card. Fucking pull any card and tell you what it means. But for me, it feels like there's no impact there. The person is not, and I just talked about this on the call that I just got off of before I started recording this. It feels like the person hasn't really shown up, because they're just sort of like, oh, whatever. You're just going to tell me, is it just because you want to hear some tall, dark, handsome stranger, or you're going to win the lottery, or, this thing or that or the other. It feels like the investment of them showing up to the reading, or them not even giving a shit of what you're going to say. It's like, well, why? Maybe you're just doing this for entertainment purposes, and that's fine. But because I don't see the cards as just an entertainment purpose, it feels like it's just an empty reading. So I would rather sit with someone who's like, here's the fucking thing. Here's the situation. Here's where I'm at. I'm fucking stuck. Let's do this. Or, here's the relationship. Here's where it's going. I don't know if I like this road we're going down. Like, what can we do to get out of this? Or, Like, I'm a fucking hot mess. This is what's happened. Right, what's the likely outcome of this? You know, I want to have someone show up for their life. Fucking show up for your life, man. I want them to show up for their reading and show that they're fucking invested in what they're, they're doing. And another reason why I don't do free tarot readings anymore. And thank you for everyone's amazing comments on that video, by the way. So that went into a little bit of a rant, but anyway. And the last one is the craziest thing that's happened to you during reading. I've spoken about a few things. I've had a lady just stand up and walk out. I've had people just burst into tears because they were at their, hopefully not anymore, but they were addicts when we had the reading, and they just had no one outside of their circle of friends who were also struggling with addiction to be able to talk about it, because it was either that or the mental health system, and they didn't have anyone from and I was like, dude, I'm not a therapist, but just a release that's not either like you're seeing a psychologist or you're around people who don't understand you. It was like a complete stranger who can just be like, yo, dude, you got something to say? Say it. Or it was like talking to someone who like they have the light bulb moment. I love that shit. I've had people come out during tarot readings when like certain cards come up and you're like, so do you want to say it, or do I want to say it? Or like there's this moment, it's like if anyone's watched How I Met Your Mother, when they have those episodes where they silently speak to each other. And I've had a few moments like that with my clients, where it's been like, okay, are you going to say it? Can I say it? Am I allowed to say it? Like, and then you know, right? Like, you know whether you're getting like the okay. And I've never like bursted anyone's bubble in that way, but I have had people come out, which have been like, and finally just said like, fuck it, this is who I am. That's amazing. Yeah, I've had plenty of amazing experiences and crazy things happen to me as a reader, and I'm sure you have. I've been hit on. I've been argued with. Aren't I making you want to be a tarot reader if this is the first time, as a professional, if this is the first time you've ever watched a video like this? I have, yes, many. I've read for people that I have found so attractive that it's been really hard to shut, like, just be like, hot damn. So yeah, I've had the gamut, and that's probably one of the most amazing things about reading the tarot, is that it's never a dull moment, for sure. So I am done, diddly on. Thank you so much, Arwen, again, for creating such a fun tag, and for the shout out. And I hope you found this at least halfway entertaining with my ranting. And thank you for watching.